molasses, which Simon has kindly put into this ramekin, but as you can see, it's just turned itself on for no reason. It smells amazing in there. Get all of this lovely cake. I'll just taste a bit. You can taste it if you want. Oh, look at that beauty. Hello, my darlings. Today we're going to be making my spiced apple cake. I'll be using apples which I got in my Oddbox London box. Oddbox are a fantastic company that basically get fruits and vegetables that would otherwise end up in landfills because they are a bit scarred, maybe a bit ugly, maybe a bit too big for the supermarkets, or they've just had a massive glut from a harvest and the supermarket's like, we can't take any more. So I'm going to get started with the first section, which is we cook the apples. Doesn't take long, it's really simple. Simon has kindly peeled all of these for me, and I'm just going to pop them in this pan. First thing I've got to do though is turn this on. Now, those of you that have joined me for the chicken pie, link up there if you want to see it, will know that also I've had some trouble with hobs in the past, but I think I've figured out how to work this one. Turned it on. Yay! I know what I'm doing. Right. So this fabulous thing helps me turn down the temperature it's on. So this is on, making a very strange noise at the moment, but I hope you can hear me over it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put in some apple juice. I've got a little bit of sugar here. I'm not going to use all of it because the apple juice is quite sweet. And I'm just going to pop the apples in. And all I'm going to be doing is just letting them cook up in the steam. I'm going to try and keep them upright so they poach. In fact, I might top this up with a little bit more water because this is quite a huge pan. Normally the apple juice comes a bit further up to the top. If you've got a larger pan and the same thing happens, just top it up with a little tiny bit of water because you don't want to take the apple flavour away. You want to keep that in there because we will be using the remainder of the sauce afterwards. So I'm just going to put that on there. This should be going away for about 20 minutes. Right, while that's in there, I'm also going to put some other flavours in there. I suppose it might have been easier if I mixed in the apple juice, but I thought I might make a mess. And with my trusty measuring spoon, I'm going to put just roughly a teaspoon of vanilla paste. Wow, that's heated up already. That is insane. That's fabulous. It's hotter than my hob. It's better than my hob. And a little bit of cinnamon. Just a little bit. Don't need too much at this early stage. There's going to be some going in the actual cake as well. Just trying to mix that vanilla paste up. I did not expect it to cook so quickly. That is amazing. So let me put the lid back on there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave those simmering. Now, I don't want them on a high heat. They are boiling away. So I'm going to turn this down because it is clearly super effective. It's incredible. There we go. It's simmering to low heat and that's what I want. I've got these just to check them and turn them when I need to. Now, I've done this with pears before, and I've had to keep turning them now and again because when they're on their side, you'll get one bit that cooks. You just kind of need to rotate it a bit. So just keep a little bit of an eye on that. And as I said, every now and again, when you need to, just go in and turn it so it cooks through. It doesn't matter if it's not fully cooked. If when you get these out, there's still some bit raw in the middle, that's absolutely fine. It's going to cook in the cake anyway. I just cook them beforehand because it just makes life easier when we are laying them out of the cake. It means the cake doesn't take so long to cook, and it means you've definitely got these nice caramelisy kind of apples on the top. It's kind of like a tart tartin, but with spiced cake instead, which is delicious. So I'm going to get everything ready for the cake mix now, and I shall see you in a little while. See you in a minute. Hi, welcome back. So this has been in now for 20 minutes roughly, probably a little bit over. I'd say probably 15 minutes would be best. I'm going to very carefully take these out because they're quite squishy. So I'm going to put them on the thing. So I've turned them around a couple of times as I've been cooking them, so they get evenly cooked. Because although the lid is on, which is great because it means it kind of cooks all the way around, sometimes just have to give them a little bit of a turn to make sure. I'm just going to leave that syrup cooking there for a little while longer because I need the moisture to go off to turn it into an actual syrup. So I don't think it's going to take very long because this is incredibly quick. Yeah. It beeps when I take it off. I think it's just to say, put it back on. Anyway, back on now. So these are going to be exceptionally hot, as they've obviously only just come out of a pot of boiling sugary apple juice and water. So do be careful with the bit I have to do next. I'm going to show you just a little bit. This is actually cooked pretty much nearly through the middle. There's just a little bit that isn't, and that's actually quite good. It's better to have it that way because they are very, 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 very soft and they will be quite hard to cut. So doing it so there's still a little bit of firmness in the middle is actually going to help you when you slice these up. So what I'm going to do with these is get a little bit of tissue, as that is boiling itself down to a syrup. I'm only going to let that boil for about 5 minutes because, to be honest, whatever juice it is will be absolutely fine. And because it's heated, the syrup's going to be very, very thin. When it cools down, it should be a little bit thicker. So with the apples, just turn them around, and if you can, carefully cut them into quarters. Okay, remember I said these are very, very hot at this stage. If you want to leave them for a few minutes to cool down, that's absolutely fine. Oh, it's still really hot, even though I've got the fork, which I should be using, shouldn't I? Silly me. As I said, the fork is just to keep it still. It does not, if you push it too far in, you're going to end up getting some very strange slices. So it is literally just to hold this still while you do what you do, you know? Like you would do at the table with a knife and fork, just this one's exceptionally sharp. So once you've got your little segment and you've taken out the core and the end of it, just get your knife and very carefully, because it is soft apple, slice thin slices, as thin as you can. Be very careful though, it's not worth losing a finger. And oh, there we go. I think I can get another one out of there. Yes, I can. And then scoop it up with the knife if you can. Just get the knife to scoop it up, pop it on the plate with the others. So I'm going to go through the rest of these apples here. You don't have to watch me go this over and over and over and over. And I think I will turn this off now. Yeah, that's definitely boiled down. It's boiled right down, if you can see, to a syrup. When it's cooled, I'm going to sort of scoop the scummy bit off, which is just bits of apple really. There's nothing disgusting. But I'll just scoop that off so we get a really nice clear syrup left to spread all over the cake. And I'll be mixing that with a little bit more of apple juice as well, so it just goes a little bit further. But it's just a really, really gorgeous flavour of the fresh apples and apple juice and everything that just soaks through the cake when it's hot. And that way it kind of takes away a lot of the sweetness, and it also just adds a really nice glaze and makes it really lovely and moist. So I'm going to finish slicing these up and I will be with you when we're ready to make the cake, which is going to take like 5 seconds. So don't worry about it. If you think this is long, that's going to be no time at all. So I'll be back with you as soon as I've done this. Hi, welcome back. I've cut all the bits and pieces up now, and I'm just going to show you the next bit. I've just got the end of this margarine, and I'm just going to, even though I'm lining the tin with a non-stick cake liner, I'm just greasing the inside because I don't want the apples to stick too much to it. And that's a problem because obviously they're sweet and sugary and syrupy and lovely. So I'm just going to show you this one. Now this liner may look a little bit higgledy-piggledy, but it'll work absolutely fine. I normally get just, there's only one size of liner, and then I just push it out to the edges so it fits in and does the job absolutely fine. So what we're going to do is, now I've greased this bit, I'm going to take the apples and I'm just going to arrange them on the bottom of the pan. It doesn't have to be any fantastic way of doing it. You can pop them in as higgledy-piggledy as you like. It's literally just to put some down so that the top of the cake, oh, that's 2 there. The top of the cake has that really strong apple hit from these. Because the spice cake itself is just an absolutely gorgeous spicy flavour. But just to add a little difference. I mean, I love pineapple upside down cake. It's so fantastic. But my daughter doesn't, so this is a sort of compromise. And I love the fact that it's got such lovely spices in. I've also got in, I put in almonds, ground almonds, as well as for the flavour, because ground almonds just seem to adore spices. But it gives the cake a really lovely texture. It's not very dense. It's actually quite light, quite crumbly. very autumnal really. Perfect for that kind of season. But as I said, because these apples came in our odd box delivery, which was obviously a surplus from a farmer had left over and did not want them to go to waste, we get them sent to us, and they are such gorgeous quality, really lovely. And so they just inspire me to use the fruit that we get in the cooking. Therefore, no food waste and lots of lovely inspiration. So as you can see, as I said, I'm just layering these down. It doesn't really matter how it looks. You're not going for anything to hang up in the Tate gallery. It is literally just so you have a lovely appley top to the cake when you take it out, because obviously when you take out the cake and you pop it upside down, this is what you're going to get. And we're cooking the cake on quite a low heat because I want it to obviously cook and rise, but not have a dome, because it's quite difficult if it has a dome for it to lie upside down. But if you pop it out and pop it upside down as soon as it comes out of the oven, then it tends to kind of settle anyway. But there we go. So I've done that one. I put all the two last slices of apple there. You can see that. Just generally laid. I mean, I've done it in a kind of circular pattern, but where there's a gap, I've just, you know, popped an apple in, because it's just to give a lovely apple topping when you turn it out. So I'm going to do the other one, and then once I've done that, I will start with the cake, which will be really, really easy to do. I'm going to be using a stand mixer. You can easily do this by hand. So if you don't have a stand mixer or a hand blender mixer, then that's absolutely fine. Whichever one you use, it will be easy to do, but I'm just going to use my stand mixer because it just makes life a little bit quicker for me. So I'll be back when I finish the other one. Hello, and now we're going to be doing the cake. So I've done both the pans. So first things first, again, please don't be worried about the amounts I've got here. You will have less when you measure it out. These are for 2 cakes I'm doing. So it's going to be double the amount. I'm going to put the sugar in, stand mix, a little bit of flour on me there. And I'm going to mix in the molasses, which Simon has kindly put into this ramekin, but as you can see, it's just turned itself on for no reason. Fine. Maybe I'll just have to unplug it in a minute. Anyway, so the molasses, really concerned about that. The molasses is so sticky that getting it out of this is probably going to be tricky. As long as I get most of it out, that's the main thing. Oh, it's so tough. If you don't have molasses, if you can't get hold of it, you can just use, instead of the caster sugar, you can just use a muscovado sugar. That will do exactly the same, or soft light brown or soft dark brown. It basically, all this does is give a nice treacly flavour to the cake. Sorry about that noise in the background. It's just, for some reason, decided to come alive, which is a bit weird. I'm just going to turn off in a minute, I hope so. There we go. That was super weird. Anyway, so I'm just trying to get the most of the molasses off because it is the stickiest substance known to man. I'm going to put that on the eggs over there. So I've got the molasses in here, and I'm going to mix it with the mountain of margarine. So this is literally just to get this all kind of mixed in, because the molasses, if I don't mix the molasses in to something else that's going to help it stick together, somebody in a cake is just going to get one great big lump of treacle. And that's another name I was going to say for molasses, is treacle. This is just good old-fashioned treacle from the supermarket. So don't start looking for anything fancy in some fancy section of the store. That's all it is. But as I said, if you don't have it, or if you don't want to buy it, or if you actually have some brown, I have to say as well, at the end of the day, if you don't even have molasses or brown, that's absolutely fine. Normal sugar will be okay. It'll still be a really nice spice cake. It's just you will miss those toffee back notes from having the treacly molasses or the muscovado kind of sugar in here. And don't forget, if you're using muscovado or soft brown or soft light brown or soft dark brown, do not add the caster sugar or molasses. They are an either or. So just add the molasses to the caster sugar, which would be, gosh, I think it's roughly 20 grams, a little bit more extra brown sugar in, and that should be fine. I will put it all in the description down there anyway, so you don't have to worry about my confusing instructions. I'll make it clear when I write it down. So I'm just going to turn this on and mix this in just till it's mixed in. That's all. It doesn't have to be beaten or get to any sort of stage. That's all it is. So I'll be back with you in a minute. Right, I'll just check that. This K-Mix does a fantastic job, I have to say. I love it. This particular beater as well. This is a special beater that doesn't normally come with the... Whoa, nearly dropped that. That doesn't come with the K-Mix. But a friend recommended it to me, a baker friend of mine. Another pro baker said she uses this and it's so fabulous for mixing because it just negates you having to constantly scoop things up. I'll probably only have to do this once and then that's it. That's what I love about it, my handy spatula. Another essential thing which I cannot live without. So I'm going to give this just one more hard beat with the mixer just to make sure that those last bits of treacle are well mixed in. And then I'm going to get cracking with everything else. So I will put a link to this. If you have a K-Mix, I hope I've got cake on me now. If you have I have got cake on me. Doesn't matter. It's good for your skin. If you have got a K-Mix or a Kenwood, which is I have a Kenwood Chef Major in the kitchen for when I do my big cakes because I have to have so much cake mix all done in one go. This is specifically just for this. It's a smaller one, which is fine for the odd small bake. But they both have this particular beater and it really is a lifesaver and a time saver, which is more importantly. So I'll put a link to this one and the one for if you happen to have a Kenwood Chef Major, which is the bigger version of Kenwood Chef, bigger bowl. I'll put the link to that beater in there as well. I don't know if I think KitchenAid and Von Chef and other brands and things like that will have their own version of this. That I'm afraid I don't know. I can't recommend those to you because I don't actually know if they're as effective, but these are brilliant. So I'll put the link in the description in case you want to see it or buy it or whatever. But I'm just going to give this one more beat and then I'll be back with you. Absolutely fantastic. It smells amazing in there. It's just so toffee rich. It's gorgeous. Right, where are we? So now for the next bits, which would be these bits. Just grabbing everything, which is, so I'll pull it over there, which is, let me take this up now. And this is going to be so full. As I said, I normally use my bigger mixer, but it's huge. It's absolutely gigantic. It'd be absolutely ridiculous for this video. So we got the little one that we thought might be a little bit. It's much easier if it's on the screen. But you know, me and my huge cakes doing double is probably. I didn't think that through, but this should be all right. It'll be very, very full, but it'll be fine. We'll get through it together. You'll hold my hand. Don't you? I hope you do. I need it. Right. So now I'm going to pop in the flour, and you know you can pre-sieve this if you want. I just weigh it in and that's it. And the ground almonds and the spices. There's the cinnamon and the mixed spice, and that's it. Now I'm going to put. Let me get rid of all these bowls. I've got 1,000 of them here now. I'm going to put the vanilla in with the egg, which I was going to bring the egg over, because it, like the treacle, will stick. I couldn't mix the treacle in with the egg because it takes just forever. Treacle is just so sticky. You really need to sort of beat the living daylights out of it. So I'm just going to measure out the vanilla for the double cakes into this. That should be enough. See, what did I say on the other one? I can't remember. Pop a little extra in. Doesn't hurt to have a little extra vanilla. And I'll just mix that in to the eggs because this is a vanilla paste. Now, if you only have vanilla extract, that's fine as well. Some might have just vanilla flavouring. I mean, you can use vanilla flavouring if you want. I'm just a really, really big fan of the extract because you're really getting a really strong, proper vanilla-y flavour. And vanilla paste, well, that's what this is. You get all those wonderful little black bits from the vanilla bean, which is marvellous. So with this, I'm just going to mix this in a bit because I don't want the beaters to take all those lovely spices because obviously they're quite sticky. And if I don't mix the spices in to the flour, first thing they're going to do is just take those spices and it'll just get all stuck to the beater, and that'll be a real disappointment. So I've just given it a really, really rough mix in. So it'll be an even mix of flour and almonds and stuff. So we'll keep as much of that gorgeous spiciness as possible. Now I'm going to mix this together. It's going to end up like a cookie dough, which is how I do my cakes. That's just how I do it. And then I add the eggs in 3 stages, really quick. So I'm just going to literally mix this all together until it's mixed. You're not beating it, you're not incorporating air, you're not doing anything, you're just mixing it until it's all well mixed in together, and that's it. So I'll just do this. It's going to be loud and I'll come back to you when it's quiet again. That was literally, what, 15 seconds, if that? That's it, that's all I needed. And you can see it's gone into this fabulous cookie dough kind of state. It's a bit wetter than cookie dough, I'll be honest with you, but it's still the right consistency. And I'm gonna do, just to be on the safe side, because even if you do have these beaters, it's always good just to check there's nothing stuck on the bottom. Oh God, these beaters are so good, there's nothing stuck on the bottom. It's so good. Honestly, I'm so evangelical about this. Fabulous. It's all mixed in perfectly. Fabulous. It's a good thing I'm only doing 2 cakes. This could not have taken 3. Definitely not. It would have been overflowing. Which incidentally, when I used to sell cakes, professionally decorated cakes, and sometimes there were 3-tier wedding cakes and things like that, and I would try and cram it all into one bowl, and it was bit of a disaster sometimes. That's why we've got the big blender, the big mixer rather, in there. So yeah, this one is good for home use, for just everyday stuff, and it certainly manages 2 cakes, 2 decent sized cakes without a problem. Right, so I'm going to put that in there, and I'm only going to put in about 1/3 of the egg and vanilla mix, because all we want to do is loosen up the batter. So I'm going to do this and pop this on, and literally, again, just mix it until it's all evenly mixed and it's loosened up. Again, that was probably 10 seconds. This is why this isn't going to take very long. It's, and I'm going to give this a check. Again, I know it's fine, but just for those of you who don't have this particular beater, it's going to help to remind you to check that it's all scooped off the bottom. There's nothing stuck there, no bits of flour, no chunky bits of batter, no bits of treacle. Right, so this is already getting thinner, which is fabulous, because if I put the egg in when it was chunkier, it would have just ended up really lumpy, and then you would have had to beat it, and that just ruins the bake, because what I find is it puts too much air in, which sounds like you couldn't go wrong with too much air in a cake, but you can. Because if you beat it too hard, too long, the air will expand so quickly, because it'll get so much air in there, it'll expand so much in the oven, it gets to this high height and it hasn't set, and it's like, oh, I've run out of air, and then it just falls, and it sinks, and then it sets. So then you have a very flat cake, and we don't want that. So it's just mixing and just enough. Right, I'm going to pop the next 1/3 in and turn this on again for another few seconds. Now I had that on high for about 2-3 seconds, just so that the mix in the beater flew out to the side and then got mixed in, because you don't want the chunky bit in the middle to stay like cookie dough and the outsides to be all nicely mixed in. So turning it up to high for just 2-3 seconds, centrifugal force throws that mix out of out of the beater, shoves it to the side, and it gets mixed in. And it literally needs a couple of seconds for that to work. So I'm just going to lift it up. It's already perfectly mixed. So the last bit, I don't want to lose any of this vanilla. Oh, all the vanilla's at the bottom. Don't want to lose any. Not a tiny bit. Right, and then pour that all in. And that delicious vanilla. Oh, lovely. Right, let's move all of these out of the way. There's bits of spoons and stuff in the way. Right, so close this. Now it's quite full, and there's a lot of fluid, a lot of egg at the top in this last bit. So don't whack it onto high first thing, because then otherwise it's just going to throw that egg everywhere. Believe me, I learned from experience. So thankfully this starts up slow and then goes quite high anyway, but you're not going to need to beat it on high. I just did it on high in that last one, just to get that bit in the middle to shoot out from the side and get mixed in. And now it all is mixed in. I'm just going to literally blend it. That's it, nothing more. I don't even need to sort of turn this off. I'll move away with the microphone a bit. And that's it. Seriously, that's it. We're done. So I'll clean these bits off the beaters here, just so we get all of this lovely cake. I'll just taste a bit. You can taste it if you want. Oh, taste the vanilla. You can taste that toffee back note from the treacle. And you get those warm spices. Oh, God, that's so gorgeous. It's so lovely. God, it's a wonder you have to even cook it. It's just so nice as it is. Right, and this is going to make a really beautiful cake. Now, oh, there we go. Let's get that bit out. She says, making a big mess of everything. Wait a second. Oh, there we go. Right, give me a second. When I put these down, just to save the bottom plate from getting batter on it, I like to put a little tissue there. And then if anything drips, it drips onto the tissue, which is easier to clean. Let's move that there, put that there. Lovely. Right, so I have a huge bowl of mix, which is absolutely ready to go into these pans. So I'm going to just dollop this one into this pan first, and then I will put the other pan, I'll do the other pan separately off camera, because you only need to see how to do one. Now I'm going to bake this in the oven now on a lower than normal heat, because like I said, I don't really want much of a dome. Now I have to be honest, my oven is temperamental. It's not been able to be changed yet. This is being filmed in the middle of lockdown, so we can't get the oven fixed, but it still works, so that's a good thing. It's just it sort of heats up more on one side than the other, so things tend to cook at an angle. So just to warn you that when this comes out, there may be a slight bump, but we're going to cook it slowly and for a little bit longer. Don't worry if it has risen a bit. That is just normal. That's what it does. It's supposed to rise. But if it's a really huge mound, then maybe think of us cutting a little bit off, but I'll talk to you when it comes out. If it's just a dome, a light dome, that's fine. Flip it over, and the weight of the cake itself, as it cools, will bring it back down to the cooling rack, and it'll be absolutely fine. So I'm going to pop this one in the oven. I'm going to fill that one up and put that one in the oven as well. And what I will do is come back when they're baked and show you how to finish it off. Back in a bit then. Hello, and now it is out of the oven. It's just come out. It's still making those little bubbly noises that it makes. As I said, with my particular oven, it is hotter on one side than the other. So there is a little bit of overhang here where it's risen on one side and fallen over because the heat distribution is not terribly even, but it is absolutely fine, and it won't really be the end of the world. When we turn it over, it'd be easy just to cut that little bit off when it's cool and put it on the plate, and it'll look lovely and neat and everything will be fab. Best thing to do with this is to leave it in the tin for 20 minutes. Just give it a chance to settle, to sink back down. It's not risen too much, which is brilliant. That is exactly why we cooked it on the lower heat. So it would cook slowly and it would still rise and still be fluffy and light, but without that great big dome at the top, which you would get with other cakes that you might be quite nice as a little feature, because we're going to be turning this upside down. And we don't really need a big dome when it's upside down because it'll be all swirly everywhere. So this is absolutely how it's supposed to be. What I'm going to do is leave this, it's on a trivet at the moment, for 20 minutes just to cool down. And then once it's a bit cooler, I will pop this on top, use a tea towel to turn it over so we can take the tin off. And then we will very, very carefully take the lining off. And we've got to be slow because even though I have greased the inside of the lining, a little bit of apple might still be stuck on there, and we don't want to rip it off the cake. We want that apple to stay there. But while we're waiting for that to happen, I'm just going to try and shoot this over there like that, and I will try and put this somewhere. We're going to just deal with the syrup, which is now cold. So what I'm going to do, because you can just scoop off the bits on the top, basically where the apple's cooked, some of the apple itself has come off and there's a bit of residual, like say scum, sounds such a horrible word because it isn't, it's just appley bits, but it just makes it a little bit cloudy. So I'm just going to strain this through a tea strainer, and luckily those lovely bits of vanilla are still coming out. There we go. So this is the syrup that the apples were boiled in, with the gorgeous vanilla and the apple juice. Now this is for 2 cakes. Again, remember, just reminding you, I look like I have more ingredients because I am making 2 cakes. The recipe you have is for 1 cake. So there we go. So that's just taken those little bits off that we didn't need. And I've got just a little bit of apple juice here. The exact amount is down in the description. I'm just going to pour that in, and it just gives a little kick back to the syrup, because the syrup's still quite thick, but it adds that little appley kick right back. So when I pour it over the cake, after 20 minutes, it'll start to seep down into the cake. It'll cover the apple pieces in a nice and glossy way, and it just adds a little extra nice flavour. Oh, with those beautiful vanilla seeds in there. So I'm going to pop that to one side, and I'm going to let this cool for another 10 minutes, and then I will come back and I will turn it out with you, and we will just finish the recipe off then. So probably back in the blink of an eye. Hi, it's been 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do is bring this over, and as this has just got a little bit over here, I'm just going to loosen it around the edges with this knife, just to make sure it's going to come out, because it can be a little sticky. Oops, should be okay. And that seems to be going smoothly around there. Fingers crossed it'll be alright. As I said, there's this little lip here, which we will sort out when we've turned it the right way around. So, right, just going to get the tea towel and hope for the best. Oh, don't knock over the syrup. Right, okay. Fingers crossed. Yay! So there we have it. So all that moisture in there is from those apples, which are sitting nicely on the top. Let me turn this way. That's better, so you can see it all. So I'm very, very, very gently and very carefully going to take this lining off, because as well as not wanting to dislodge the apples, I do not want to rip the cake. I would normally wait until the cake is a little bit cooler, but this is a very, very moist cake, because obviously it's got the apples in it. And it's crumbly because it has the ground almonds in. So there we go, we've got it from the sides. And now I have to gently peel this off. Oh, there's a little bit. I've got my knife. So anything that starts to stick, I'm just going to scrape it down with my knife back onto the cake. But it's doing pretty well. Leaving it in the pan just for those 20 minutes helps this moisture to come back and just re-saturate the apple like that. There we have it. Look at that beauty. I'm pleased with that. If you've got yours like that, you should be pleased with it too. So you see all the apples are on the top there now, and although there's a little lip, oh, there's the little lip round there. Let's come off a little bit. I could just cut that. To be honest, I'm going to leave it on. It's not even that bad. It's not even that bad. Little extra cake for them. So now we've got the syrup, and all we do, give it a good stir, because you want those lovely bits of vanilla in every spoonful, and the vanilla seeds do tend to go to the bottom, but you want those a lot in here. So give it a stir, and while this is warm, just baste the top of the cake with the syrup, and there's some cracks you'll find just between the apples, and it'll go through those into the cake and create the most gorgeous little rivers of vanilla-y, apple-y loveliness, and just be such a joy when you slice it. So, and also it leaves a lovely sort of topping on the cake, which just looks really attractive as well. You'll see those vanilla seeds. Oh, it's just so gorgeous. I'm getting such an apple-y hit as it hits the cake. It's just so lovely. Now, this is a beautiful cake that you can have cold, you know, just with a cup of tea, or heat it up with custard. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. So it can be done as an actual dessert for if you're going to have a dinner party, or just after dinner, lunch, whatever. And it's very, very flexible. So cold or hot, it's absolutely brilliant. And if you want to have it hot after it's cooled down, you can just pop it in the microwave for a few seconds. It won't take too long. Check it after about 10 seconds, and then that should be it. Or you can wrap it in foil and pop it in the oven and heat it up that way for, oh, I don't know, if the oven's on sort of 160, 170, pop it in there for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Take it out after 5 from open the foil. Be very careful, there will be steam. So don't burn yourself on that, and see if it's warm through. And that's basically it. It's lovely to have with cream or custard, or as I said, on its own. I do a version of this called Hinton cake, which again is my recipe, very, very similar, with pears. I haven't done a video for it yet, but I will do. And when I have done the video, I will put a link up here. I will come back and put the link to it, but that's for another day. And that is done with a bundt tin, so it's like a circle. And it's done with, it's called Hinton Cakes. It uses Hinton Wines, which is a local vineyard in Berkshire. But for now, this beautiful apple cake, again, if you want to do it with any other different kinds of fruits, be my guest. There are so many types of apples out there. There's just so many you can choose. I would suggest not cooking apples for this. This needs an eating apple. As I said, it is just perfect for using up the gorgeous eating apples that came in our odd box this week. And as I said, it's just perfect for any time of year. It's very good on autumnal cake, but right now it's spring. Still going to be delicious. So if you do try anything else, if you do add anything else, if you have any questions, please do get in touch. And if you take any photos, just tag me at Berkshire Housewife, because I love to see them, and I will be popping them up on social media so everyone can revel in your glory. Thanks so much for joining me for this video, and I really look forward to seeing you for another one soon. Take care. Bye.